welcome to another season finale for the Lord of the Rings Online. It's been a fun one. I really enjoyed Western Gondor, but behind me lies the road to Central Gondor, and I'm super excited about that. So as always in these finale episodes, I do follow a certain template, and the first thing that I talk about is usually my completionist checklist. However, I have an announcement to make regarding that. The completionist checklist is officially on hold. I am not updating it at this time. That doesn't mean that I'm not checking, that I'm doing everything. I'm using an application called the LOTRO Compendium. You can look that up if you're interested, but it is a third-party tool that a fan of the game made that tracks all your quests for you and all the quests in the game. So it's much easier for me to keep track of what I'm doing. It's not exactly how I want it to be, so eventually I do want to remake my completionist checklist, but I'm kind of reworking my website. The checklist I currently have has turned into a complete mess. I don't like it. I don't like dealing with it anymore. It's just confusing. And so I'm still checking that I'm doing all the quests. I'm just using the LOTRO Compendium instead. So until further notice, the completionist checklist on my website is on hold. I will be remaking it at some point this year. So just a little announcement that. So next is I do like to go into a new season with a brand new title pertaining to the one I just completed. And so I am now Kippen Proudfeet, honored in Dol Amroth. Excellent. In terms of gear, I get very lazy with the gear. I don't know if you guys have noticed it by now, but I get really lazy with updating my gear because I feel like I'm leveling faster than I can keep up in terms of gear. So I don't really feel like upgrading at this point, and I'm not really lagging behind in terms of being able to do the content. So I'm not too worried about it. However, as I was clearing out my inventory, there were a few random drops here that surprisingly, even though they're not rare or anything, are better than what I'm currently wearing. So there's this ring here that's going to be an upgrade for me, and I think I will... The only question is which ring do I replace here? I think I might replace the one on the right. Let me pull up my character panel. Then let me change these out. Alright, and then the necklace is also going to be an upgrade for me. You can see I'm going to get critical rating, a lot more agility, a lot more vitality. So let me trade that out. And then the pocket item is also going to be nice. I don't really care for the 400 fate, but the 572 agility is a huge boost, as is the vitality here. The additional agility will, I think, more than make up for that critical rating that I'm missing. So I think this is a good upgrade. And then these gauntlets here are also going to be an upgrade for me. So let me go ahead and put these on. Very good. And then also I do like to change my mount for every season. So this time around I'm going to be using my prized Rivendell pony, which I don't think I've ever used before, but I like it. I like it a lot. I like that yellow. It looks nice. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Next, let's look at my traits. Now, the game did kind of update the system a little bit, so I have to kind of redo all my traits. And again, for right now, I am going to stick with the red line so that I can do the most damage possible, because I'm not really struggling through the content. I just want to be able to kill mobs as fast as possible. So we'll go ahead and get the Gambit Builder damage up. Get the bleed damage up, which is critical since I use a lot of bleeding gambits. And then we're going to go ahead and do Physical Mastery. Definitely raise that up all the way. And Foe of Darkness. Light type damage, which is the type of damage I mainly do. So we'll get all that up. And Way of the Spear. Spear Gambit damage is going to go up. On the offense, Morale tab. So that's for my healing gambits. I'll get that up. No Respite for the Wicked. I'm just going to max out the red line regardless, so damage over time, critical chance, increase that all the way. I definitely use that a lot. Deep wounds, damage over time, critical damage, I definitely want that. And then lasting impression will give me +1 damage over time pulse, which is great. And then I'm going to do recklessness, which is a great skill that I use. Although, because the system reset and I lost that skill, I lost it on my taskbar, which is kind of frustrating. So I have to put it back here. Yeah, so it used to be right here on my control equals. So I'll put it back there in a second. And then hone spikes. Critical chance to shield skills. Now let me get these as well. Spear sweep. Quick sweep. No mercy. And then Warden's Triumph. Okay, so I still have a bunch of points to use, and God, I don't even remember what I was doing here. Yeah, I think lasting mark is good because I can use my mark targets to do more damage to opponents. So I'll do that. Why not? Range damage doesn't really do anything for me. Momentum is swapping between ranged and melee stances, which I don't do much, so I'm not going to worry about that. Might bring up the finesse, just because I don't really have anything else to use up right now. Go look at the blue line, actually. Evade rating from Warcry. And then these are more healing gambits, which I'm not too interested in right now, so I'll kind of keep what I got. Bullseye, this is for ranged. Now I'll just get these. Okay, let's finally apply. There you go. There's my recklessness. Let me drag it back to where I want it. Perfect. Okay. And then for the race traits, again, nothing's going to change here, but I haven't showed them in a while. So just as a reminder, I'm using Hobbit Stature for some might. Hobbit Stealth, so I can kind of sneak around if I need to from time to time. Return to Mickle Delving. Hobbit Club damage bonus, which is great because it's essentially just plus 5% damage since I use a club weapon. And then Hobbit Silence, so I can get away from sticky situations. And then I'm still running Determination, Discipline, Loyalty, Valor, and Wit, focusing on damage. So now to get to the meat of the episode, let's talk about all the deeds in Western Gondor. So let me pull them up here, and let me show the completed. So there are a lot of different deeds here, and a lot of them are related to the repeatable quests that I did within Dol Amroth. So there's the City Watch, there is the Bank, the Docks, the Great Hall, the Library, the Masons, the Swan Knight Barracks, the Warehouse. So all those were quests that I did throughout the season, so refer back to the last few episodes, but the way to unlock these deeds is to just do all the quests for the factions. Then we get into the exploration deeds, Beacons of West Gondor, Dol Amroth. Wait a second, what is this one? Oh yeah, so this is to get the acquaintance with all the factions within Dol Amroth. So there's that. This is the meta deed for explorers. Treasure cache, which is interesting. You may remember from really older seasons. Like, I know the North Downs for sure had these treasure chests around, but you couldn't interact with them until you were, I believe, level 90, 95, something like that. So they were in a few maps, and this is the first map which had treasure caches, which I could actually interact with, so I'll be showing that. And then Paths of the Dead, Prosperity of West Gondor, and West Gondor, Camps of the Enemies are all exploration deeds that I'll be showing momentarily. And then you got the quest meta deeds for completing quests, so that's what I've been doing all season, so there's nothing specific to show here. And then Vanguard of Western Gondor is to defeat Azerthor and his minions in Tarling's Crown, so you can refer to the previous episode for that as well, because this is a quest-based deed. And then the warbands, there was an episode in this season dedicated specifically to doing all the warbands, so you can refer to those as well. And then there's the meta for doing all the deeds, and then Quests of West Gondor to do quests here, of course. And then the Slayer deeds, Bandits, Beasts, Corsairs, Oathbreakers, Orcs, and yeah, that's it. And the meta deed for Slayers. So that's a lot of rambling. Let me show you all of the exploration deeds in this region. The first exploration deed is Beacons of West Gondor to discover structures atop the hills of West Gondor. The first landmark is the Stone of Eddic. You have discovered the Stone of Eddic, brought from Numenor to the Blackroot Vale by Isildur. This beacon later became a constant reminder of betrayal for the people of Gondor. Next is the Fallen Beacon. You have discovered the Fallen Beacon at the northernmost tip of Emin Ermil. It is the 6th south beacon of Gondor. Next is Magon. You have discovered the beacon Magon atop a sharp blade of rock jutting up from the hills. It is the 7th south beacon of Gondor. Next is Nendeth. You have discovered the beacon Nendeth along the edges of Emin Ernil. It is the 8th south beacon of Gondor. Last is Amon Lontir. You have discovered the beacon of Amon Lontir along the edges of Emin Ernil. It is the 9th south beacon of Gondor. The next exploration deed is Gondorian Treasure Cache, to find West Gondor's treasures that have been lost over the years. And honestly, I don't know if I have much to say here. There are 18 of these, and I will be showing the location for all of them. I'm starting here in the Blackroot Vale, so this is the second one in the Blackroot Vale. I'm gonna at least try to break these up by region. This is the third cache in the Blackroot Vale. Here is the 4th treasure in the Blackroot Vale. Here is another one in the Blackroot Vale. And finally, this is the last one that is located in the Blackroot Vale. Next, I'm moving to Lamadon, and this is the first treasure cache in Lamadon. There's a common theme here. There's a lot of these that are found by waterfalls and rivers. Here is the second treasure in Lamadon. Here is the third one, close to the bandit encampment. This is the 4th treasure in Lamadon, and again, by a waterfall near a river. This one is outside of Callambel on the wall. And finally, here is the last treasure cache in Lamadon. This is the first treasure in the Havens of Belfalas, once again by a waterfall and river. Here's the second treasure in the Havens of Belfalas. Here is the third treasure. Here is the next one at the Havens of Belfalas. Here's yet another treasure cache in the Havens of Belfalas. I feel like I'm getting repetitive with the commentary here. I just don't have much to say about these. And finally, here is the last one. The last treasure cache, right outside of Dol Amroth. The next exploration deed is Paths of the Dead to discover the Paths of the Dead. First landmark is Len Duskud. You have discovered Len Duskud, where the dead gather over the Black Waters. Next is Kur Izzle. You have discovered Kur Izzle, the sunken steps of a once great mountain city. Next is Kur Bras. You have discovered Kur Bras, an ancient place once full of life, now only filled with death. Next is the Shadow Watch. You have discovered the Shadow Watch. Once a place of stunning vistas, it has sunken into the depths of the mountain over the centuries. The next exploration deed is Prosperity of West Gondor to discover Gondorian settlements in West Gondor. The first landmark is Morlod. You have discovered the village of Morlod. The people of Morlod have grown wary of the dead lurking around the hills of Eric. Next is Lothgobel. You have discovered Lothgobel, a small farming village in Lemedon that is eerily quiet. Next is Dinadab. You have discovered Dinadab, a small Gondorian hamlet in the north of Lemedon. Next is Calimbel. You have discovered the Gondorian town of Calimbel. This is home to Angbor and his son Drambor. Next is Todrent. You have discovered the Gondorian town of Todrent, located near Nandeth. Next is Ostlontir. You have discovered the Gondorian town of Ostlondir, located near Amon Lontir. Finally, there is Dol Amroth. Dol Amroth is the chief city and port of the fiefdom of Belfalas, standing on a rocky promontory overlooking the inlet into which the Morthon River flows. The last exploration deed is Camps of the Enemies to scout the enemy camps scattered throughout West Gondor. The first landmark is Tinglebell. You have discovered Tinglebell, a once prosperous Gondorian mining village now overrun with orcs. Next is Tathrandolf. You have discovered Tathrandolf, a swamp on the river Cyril concealing a Corsair encampment. Next is the Bandit encampment. You have discovered the Bandit encampment hidden in the Tarling's rocky foothills. Next is Abadek's Watch. You have discovered Abadek's Watch, a Corsair camp built in the burning ruins of a once prosperous Gondorian settlement near the Bridge of Ariant. Next is Hashadir. You have discovered Hashadir, a large Corsair camp built on the shores of the Cape of Belfalos. Finally, there is Makam Mijan. You have discovered Makam Mijan, a small Corsair camp built into the hills north of the river Ringlo. Next are the Slayer deeds, beginning with Bandit Slayer, and the best place to do this is at the Bandit encampment. There's about 18 bandits here, and pretty fast respawn, so it's really not too bad to grind this one out. Next is the Beast Slayer deed, in which you have to kill beasts, so I like killing just some of these creatures and wolves around here. They're just directly south of Dol Amroth. They're a little bit spread apart, but there's a lot of them and pretty fast respawns. Next is Corsair Slayer deed, and if you just quest through Western Gondor, you should complete this without having to grind it on its own just by doing quests. There are multiple places you can do this, like Tarling's Crown, but they're very high level there. So I like grinding it out here in this region. This is, what is this place called? Makam Mijan, up here. Now there is the Oathbreaker Slayer deed, and you can do this at the Hill of Eric, but they only come out at night, so that's important to note. Only at night are they out here. Otherwise, you can kill them in the Paths of the Dead or in Tarling's Crown, but this is by far the easiest. Finally, there is the Orc Slayer deed, and there's a good little encampment here for you to do this at. This is in Tinglebell, the abandoned Gondorian mine. There's lots of orcs here. Okay, and now there are the reputation factions in this area. So, there are all of these factions within Dol Amroth, and remember, this one's a little bit weird because there is no kindred or anything, it's just acquaintance. So doing quests within these factions eventually gets you to acquaintance, so you can see I'm maxed out all in there. However, one that is important is going to be the actual Dol Amroth faction, and you can see I got the max standing. So let me briefly go over these. The loyal people of West Gondor are governed by Prince Imrahil of the fair Dol Amroth, and we owe him their allegiance. So, this is for the Swan Knights, for the warehouse. Okay, these are all the same text. Alright, very good. Let me read the Dol Amroth one. It's still the same text. Alright, I'm trying to read stuff here, but there's nothing new to read. So, let me show you what you can barter for once you're kindred with Dol Amroth. Here in the Court of the Fount in Dol Amroth, you can barter with the reputation guy. It's this guy over here.
These are troublesome times indeed.
Honestly, he doesn't really have anything that interesting. The main things that I'm interested in are the travel skills, so that I can have greater maneuverability throughout Middle-earth. So I'm going to take the Muster in Dol Amroth, which is exclusive to Wardens, but fret not, if you're not a Warden, you can always get this Return to Dol Amroth, and I'll do that too, just because. And really, there's some recipes here that you can get, but not that interested. You can get some of these essences, which Honestly, I should start looking at this point because I'm already level 107 and maybe I need to look at getting slotted items, but I'll do that another time. So, yep, that's it for this reputation faction. For all the other reputation factions, you can look here on the mini-map, and all these little blue banners represent something. So there's a lot that you can do, and most of the time you have to complete the deed, not necessarily the reputation, in order to be able to barter with these. So there's heavy armor, there's burning armor, so all the different class armors, there's light armor, there's medium armor, of course. So I'll let you guys explore that because honestly there's not that much going on here. There's some housing decorations that you can get, but really not much interesting. Usually for these bartering things, I'm interested if there's a specific mount or the travel skills. Unfortunately, there's no mount here for reputations within Dol Amroth. So yeah, there's a lot of different people you can barter with here. That's it. I don't think I have anything else to say. I am ready to venture forth to Central Gondor, so thanks again for another great season, and here's to another great one ahead. Thanks very much. See you next time.
Thanks for stopping by the Renaissance Gaming Monastery. I hope you join our community on Discord and Twitter. These videos are produced with a lot of hard work and love. If you think they're worth $1, I'd be grateful for your contribution. You can send a thanks donation or become a member on YouTube. You can also support through PayPal, Patreon, or even with cryptocurrency. All links are in the description. See you on the next video.